Hey everybody, this is Lynn with Kansas Troubles Quilters, and today we're going to talk about the center assembly of our flannel season quilt, number 4 video of the flannel season quilt along. So once you have your blocks, we made our leaf blocks, and then we made our pumpkin blocks, and then there are tan 2.5-inch strips that surround the leaves, all 4 sides. You're going to do sides and then top and bottom. And for the pumpkin, we're only going to do the sides and then the bottom. The top already has the leaf unit with the stem, and so I did not add another 2.5-inch strip there, or the block wouldn't have come out 24.5 inches square. So we're going to lay out the framed leaf, the framed pumpkin, and put our check strip in between. So note that the light square is towards the center of the quilt. The dark one is towards the outside. That is so when it hits this middle strip, there's a dark square in the center and a light on the top and the bottom of it. I want to point out too, though, in the instructions on page 6, and I'm going to add a correction on our website under tips and techniques. Under checks number 2, it says to piece 3 sashing strips with 12 tans and 13 darks. That's correct for the center. For the top and the bottom, so that we have dark to light and then light to dark in the corners, we really need to make 2 of those sashing strips with 13 tans and 12 darks. So once you start laying your dark light check squares out around your quilt, it'll become evident that this top and bottom strip need to have lights on the ends instead of darks. That's the only difference. Doesn't change a whole lot in how much you cut. You're going to have plenty of fabric, but just lay it out first before you sew it on to make sure you have a dark in the middle with the lights on each side and a light in the center that matches up to this dark, and then light and dark in the corners. Hope that makes sense. With the check sashing, there's always a chance when you're sewing together multiple seams and trying to match it up to a large block that you might be a hair off. I noticed that the instructions say to either press your seams open on the checks or all in one direction. I would definitely recommend you press all in one direction in case you have to go back and adjust your seam. It just works much easier. Ask me how, I know. I needed to go back. Mine was just about 1/8 of an inch too long. So by going back and stitching next to my original stitching on a couple of skinnier seams, I was able to stitch right next to my stitching and take up about 1/8 of an inch with 4 different seams. Because we really want that to fit perfectly so that we don't have any puckering and extra bulk in there. At this point, you can go ahead, sew all of your checks and your blocks together, and then there is a tan 2.5-inch inner border that is the same as the background that goes all the way around, and that you're just going to want to measure carefully. Make sure that your quilt actually measures exactly what it says, and if not, you can trim that to what you need to, because the next step is our borders for the lap quilt. So next week I'll come back and we'll talk about how to cut length of fabric borders, adding borders, mitering seams, things like that. And then in our final week, we'll talk about the piece border on the king size quilt, and maybe even how to incorporate that in your lap size quilt if you want to. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you again next week. This is Lynn from Kansas Troubles saying, have a great week.